I have to precede it with a little story. So about 30-something years ago, 40-something years ago, everything was moving along nicely, and I got a phone call, and suddenly it wasn't moving nicely, and I was in one of these powerless situations. I was traveling, doing shows, and I was far away from being able to control it or do anything. I was not even going to be able to talk anymore for a while relative to the situation. And I went into an absolute downturn from this happy, to really, really depressed. And for days, I could not get out of it. I tried every trick that I knew. I remember even counseling with a priest out in the backyard digging some potatoes behind a little church somewhere in Iowa. And I'm trying to find my way out of it. And I cannot find my way out of it. I mean, it was heavy and heavy. I was out on the grass, sitting on a bank, and down below me was Clear Lake, Iowa. I saw a car pull up with a trailer with a boat in it, and this family got out, and they had some little children, and they're putting the boat in the water, and the kids are getting their life vests on, and their picnic baskets and everything, and they're all bounding around, and they're all so happy, and they're all so joyous, and they're just having a wonderful time. They're not even in the water yet, and suddenly I realized the depression is totally gone. I mean, totally gone. I'm just back to normal, happy me. And I sat there and I thought, what in the world? And I went down to these people and I said, I just have to thank you. They said, for what? I said, for being so happy. They said, what? I said, you just can't imagine how depressed I've been and how long I've been depressed. And I could find no way out. And I just sat and watched you happy people for this few minutes. And I said, I'm happy again. So I brought that story up because I saw something happen to me. I've heard you say often lately that when you give your attention to anything, everything is activated vibrationally. So when you give your attention to it, then you now are, in essence, tapping into that vibration yourself. What would happen had they seen me? What if they'd have given me their attention? Who would have won? Could I have dragged that whole family down to misery? That's my question.
Given enough time, yes. In other words, what happens is, because their vibration was where it was, and they had set it into motion, and actually their vibration was more stable than yours. Their vibration was who you really are.
Good point. Good point.
You see? And so it was much easier for them to bring you to who you really are than for you to bring them to who they are not. But influence is influence. In other words, if you give your attention to anything long enough, you will begin to offer a vibration about it. One of the things that saves you as a mass consciousness is, and we mean this lovingly, you are fickle. In other words, your airwaves only show you something for a little while, and then they show you something else. And it's fortunate that they move from subject to subject to subject. But there's something that we want to talk about with you, if you are willing, about this, because as we are talking about this vibrational meter, what you just said sort of contradicted what we just said.
Sort of.
That where you are vibrationally is where you are, and that you really don't have access to these bright, happy, fluffy thoughts. The desire that you held was on that very subject around family. In other words, they were representing what your very subject of depression was about.
That's true.
And so there was a highly activated desire within you that they were evidence of. So as you observed them and sort of forgot about yourself, you, for a moment, you reached a sort of unnatural state of joy. But our question to you is, relative to that subject, were you able to, from that day forward, maintain that level of joy? Or did you find yourself reverting back to the drum that you'd been beating?
No, I never went back to that.
So that experience brought you to a different vibrational frequency. But did you stay there, or were you somewhere in between?
I never went back down like that again. No, that was the last time for that.
What happens when you are in the midst of living anything is that rockets of desires are emanating from you, and something that happens to all of you, whether you know it does or not. Your desire to feel good is so powerful. And when you don't feel good, it is so unnatural, and you are rebelling at every level of your being. That's really what negative emotion is. And when you discover a way out, there's a determination that takes place within you that goes something like, I'm just not going to do that again. Now, we want to soften within all of you, because we believe that you were rather rather rigid in your determination. We think that you put up some walls to make sure that you never went there again. In other words, you have never quite opened yourself up for that kind of pain again, which means you sort of can miss out on all kinds of other wonderful things. Where we want you to begin to feel this comfortable sensation that it does not matter if I dip vibrationally, because I now know what to do about it. In other words, there's no danger in feeling negative emotion. You don't have to protect yourself from negative emotion any more than you would want to protect yourself from feeling the hot stove. You just don't touch the hot stove. And that's that protection mechanism that we are talking about. You want to say something?
Yes, and here's where my question is going to. So you've said that our greatest gift we can give to another is for us to be happy.
Because in your happiness, you are in vibrational alignment with who you really are. And in that connection to source, you have something to give them, which is what this family gave to you. They infused you with your own connection.
So now let's go another step forward. So now we encounter someone in our life who is depressed or grieving or frightened or in pain, so any kind of major pain. How do we maintain this happiness that can be of benefit to them while observing their extreme lack of happiness?
You can't.
What do we do then? What do we do? Do you just abandon them, walk away from them?
If you have practiced your thoughts of well-being about them before their experience, then you just stubbornly stay focused upon who you really know they are. In other words, it all has to do with what you are vibrationally prepared for. Of course, you can move to where you want to be from anywhere, but Jesus said, turn the other cheek. And what he meant was, do not give your attention to what is wrong, because you activate that vibration within yourself and then you have nothing to give them, you see. You have enough here?
That's enough. Thank you very much.
Jerry and Esther have a dear friend. She has been their accountant for many years. Jerry's accountant even before Jerry knew Esther. And she is experiencing severe sickness. And the doctors have given up on her. And as Esther thinks about her, Esther can easily draw images of her laughing over lunch, having fun over taxes. They've had great fun for many years together, interacting together, listening to her loving antics relative to her grandchildren. Esther feels close to her grandchildren because they've met with this woman twice a year for several years, and she always brings them up to date on what the children are doing and the funny things that they are saying. Esther can hardly wait to meet them because she feels that she knows them, and so it's easy for Esther to turn her attention to those aspects of this woman. But then her daughter called Esther to give her the blow-by-blow details of what's going on. And Esther did not want to seem impolite or uncaring, and so she listened, and then has struggled for days to reactivate the other image, because the other image, even though it had been practiced longer, is less dramatic than the image that she just heard with details and energy. But in answer to your question, that is your work. In other words, you have to identify how you want to feel about anyone or anything. And then you have to practice the thought at the easiest time. Now, Esther discovered that as she was visiting with this daughter who is clearly oriented toward the negative, that the more Esther tried to seem optimistic, the more this woman pushed against her. In other words, it was like this woman wanted to convince Esther that her Pollyanna approach was inappropriate. And in the middle of a sentence, Esther realized that and stopped immediately offering her positive approach, because she knew that her positive approach was only evoking more negative from her. You've got to practice your power of influence when you're all by yourself. You practice your power of influence by reaching for your inner being. You practice your power of influence when you are watching the sunset or seeing the moon rise or looking at the beautiful kitten or looking at the baby. You practice your power of influence when it's easy, and you beat the drum of it every chance you get. And you activate within yourself a feeling of well-being. And you gather your sea legs so that no matter what's happening around you, you, your dominant vibration is one of well-being. And when someone like that interacts with anyone, no matter where they are, they offer stability to their experience that is like a jumper cable tapping right into source itself. In other words, you just have to want so much to feel good that you refuse to entertain thoughts that do not feel good. You have to want so much to feel good that you refuse to talk to someone who's hell-bent on helping you not feel good. In other words, you have to just want so much to feel good that you are always reaching for the relief of it. When you've practiced reaching for the relief of frustration, when you've practiced reaching for the relief of pessimism because optimism just feels better, when you've practiced for the relief of love, you're really good at reaching for those vibrations. And then when something dramatic comes into your experience, while your vibration may take a dip, it doesn't dip very far. Because your true nature, you're like the cork. You can hold it under the water, but when you let go, it's going to float to the surface because that's what's natural. And it's natural for your vibration to raise. And you have to have practiced pretty long, pretty hard, holding it down for it to be giving you much of that.
You were talking to Jerry about because he had such a deep emotional experience that he somehow doesn't want to let his guard down that much to go there. And you said he might be missing something. Well, I have a similar thing in where I'm always Pollyanna because I kind of feel something negative happening. I'll go into the negative, I'll feel it and I'll just shut it off right then. But then you've been talking about you need to be honest if you're not with your emotions, just like you don't paint a gas gauge on your car.
You don't want to put a happy face over your gas gauge because it keeps telling you your tank is empty.
Yeah.
You want to know when your tank is empty, and it's the same sort of thing, yes.
So if I let myself go there, because you said don't be afraid of negative emotions, I let myself go there, then I...
But here's the thing that we want you to hear. You're saying, I don't let myself go there. And we say, you're going where you're going. In other words, the way you feel is the way you feel. And you can cover it up with words and smiles, but the way you feel is your point of attraction. So it's really worth acknowledging how you feel and then reaching for relief from how you feel.
Yeah, and I'm practicing that.
Yes.
Now, what happens if, let's say, you've hit a feeling and you're going to change it, but somebody says, "Hey, how are you doing?" Now, my normal thing is great, you know.
Well, that's what we would say. In other words,
okay, so you wouldn't be truthful and honest then. You go, "Oh, yeah, I just hit it, whatever," but I'll get it. I'm changing it. I mean, you.
Well, first of all, the people who are coming to you are usually somewhere in the vibrational proximity that you are anyway. In other words, you can almost tell how you're feeling by which friends are calling you these days.
Yeah.
Because you reach out into the vibrational ethers and summon them in. But we would not put words to our negativity because that just causes a focal point that causes more people then to want to help fix it and just shines a greater spotlight. But we would say to ourselves, it's all right that I don't feel all this good because I can get to wherever I want to be. Now let's see, where am I and what am I reaching for? I'm reaching for a little bit of relief and then find it.
And then around your kids, I mean, I'm always happy because I want them to be happy. But sometimes, I'm in the middle of like changing an emotion or something. Would you be honest then or would you just...
Well, it depends on how much time you spend together. We always say that as a parent who is rearing children, it is much better if you are real than if you are pretending because that's how you all learned your mixed signals. In other words, that's why so many people don't really know or recognize how they feel or understand the importance of the way they feel. So if you're feeling one thing and pretending to feel another, your children are getting such mixed signals about all of that then in time they lose touch with their own emotions and they begin to mimic you as well. But if instead you say to them, I'm not feeling very good, but I want to, and I'm going to work my way through this, and then they actually see your mood improving. Now they aren't afraid of their emotions anymore. We don't want you to fear your emotions. We want you to utilize them in the same way that you utilize your maps or in the same way that you utilize any guidance. We would say to our kids, I was depressed and now I'm experiencing the sweet relief of rage. And you're helping me because it's easy to be mad at you. Thank you for the distraction. And don't worry, I'm not going to stay here because my goal is really to love you. I just can't find that feeling right now. Eventually I'll get there because I'm determined to, but don't mind me. I'm just going to fume here for a little while on my way to the sweet relief of frustration. And when I get to frustration, we'll talk.